Hello. This is my top five most fun pieces of German equipment. Um, the Germans, in my view, are not the most competitive army, but they have all the fun equipment. And I've gone through the list of what they can take, and I've picked out the most interesting bits of equipment in my view. Um, and most of you will notice that in this list, the assault rifles are not on it. No, I threw them out. They're not that fun as a piece of equipment in bolt action. Nah, they don't really work that well, and they're very expensive. And it's just two shots at 18-inch range. What? Why? So no, I threw out the assault rifles. They're not fun. They are interesting in that what they did was basically create the infantry weapon of the post World War era, but they're not fun. So, yeah, they're out. My number five is the Howling Cow. And I've taken that primarily because of the name, the Howling Cow, the Nebelwerfer. It's really good. One of them can really like divide the enemy up and make sure that they scatter, but it's not something that you need four of to kill the enemy. It's just a fun piece of little equipment that can do work for you as well, and it has that funny name. So yeah, that's my number five. Number four is the Panzer I. The Panzer Is are not very good, but they're very, very small and they're very, very mobile. And with two machine guns having Hitler's buzzsaw rule, that works. They are sort of competitive in their category of very light tankette armor stuff, and they're fun because they're so small that basically they're half the height of an infantryman. So very, very tiny armor. And imagine that those were the tanks that the Germans were using to beat France. And compare that to one of the Char-Bis French tanks, for instance, which is a huge tank. That just seems so weird. So that's my number four. Number three, the iconic, had to be on here somewhere, is the Tiger tank. And only because when you're fielding a Tiger, you only do it in fun games, right? It's just for fun and larks because it's not competitive. It's way overcosted for what it can do. But, well, if you field it and it does do something. I mean, it's the best feeling having one of those big cats run around the table and scaring the enemy. And believe me, if you've been across from one of them and it works in your game, that's not fun because it's almost invulnerable. Yes, you can pin it, but it'll still kill stuff. It's a real tank, right? It can really like take damage and not mind. So the Tiger is my number three. My number one and two are more usable and more competitive. And my number two is the Panzerfaust, the humble Panzerfaust. I really wish that other armies, Soviets, would not get access to this because it's something that makes the Germans unique. Could have made the Germans really unique. It's really good, the Panzerfaust. It's not good as a hunting tool, but it's really good to use to frighten enemy armor away from you, basically. That's the main use. And it makes German infantry much better at anti-tank roles than other infantry is. So I feel like the Germans should have had that one for themselves. And it's very iconic, isn't it? That Hitlerjugend soldier of like 12 years of age that crawls up in a bush somewhere with a Panzerfaust in his arms, waiting for the American armor to come by. God, I feel for that little boy soldier. Um, it's just horrible to think of the realities of what we're playing on the table. But on the table is really a fun piece of equipment. It's not very good, but it's there, and if it hits, it can really hurt. So that's my number two. My number one is mainly because of Rubicon that it's my number one, and that is the 88. The Rubicon 88 model is the most beautiful single model in my view that's been made for bolt action. It is a thing of utter beauty. It's so detailed, so well made. It's a very complex set to build, but it is so beautiful. And some of the paint jobs I've seen for that is just out of this world. Damn, they can be made to look pretty. Um, and the 88, although being expensive, the double roll that it has actually a triple roll because it has flak, it has the direct shots anti-tank style, and it has HE, and it can fire as a howitzer. That multi function is really good, is really effective. So the 88 can do work. That's my number one for fun equipment for the Germans. Cheers.